Tonight on Business Life, Economist Intelligence Unit reaffirms its end-year inflation rate of 83.1% on average for Ghana. Also in this bulletin, organized labor suspends their intended nationwide strike July 10 following timely intervention by Council of State.
On the basis of that, we agree with them again that we are going to suspend the action which was scheduled for Monday, 10th of July. Until further notice.
Plus, exhibitors of the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair hopeful of making good sales at this year's mini clinic.
At the end of the fair, we are looking for that one will be open to the public. The public will get to know us more, and then at the end of the, we'll be able to close deals as well. 1, 2, 3, 4 bedroom houses. We have expandable ones and non-expandable ones.
We have details of these and many others coming your way all in a moment. Please stay. Thanks very much for your company. I am Pius Kojobaka. To our very first story. Economist Intelligence Unit is reaffirming its end-year inflation rate of 38.1% on average for Ghana. This means some prices of goods and services will remain high this year. According to the UK-based organization, the upward domestic price pressures will be spurred partly by pass-through effects of the introduction of new taxes and utility tariffs increase. Here's more.
EIU expects global inflation to ease slightly from 9.2% in 2022 to 7.1% in 2023. Inflation in Ghana will also fall from the high of 50% plus in 2022 to about 38% in 2023. However, it will still be on the high side. According to the UK-based organization, the high global commodity prices stemming from the Russian invasion of Ukraine will continue to weigh on some prices of food products. Again, the strong US dollar will keep annual inflation well above the 2019 levels globally. Inflation went up marginally in May this year to 42.2%. This was driven by food inflation, which surged to 51.8% from the 48.7% recorded in April.
Now, organized labor has suspended its intended nationwide strike come Monday, July 10, following the intervention of Council of State to meet them over their concerns. Labor unions in the country earlier announced through the Trades Union Congress their resolve to embark on industrial action over the failure of management of Sono Nasogli to reinstate 3 workers sacked for joining the Ghana Mine Workers Union after several appeals and petitions for the company to rescind their decision. But even before July 10 for the scheduled date for the demonstration, Cabinet has asked organized labor to reconsider their intended strike. Here is Secretary General of the Trades Union Congress, Dr. Yauba, when he addressed the media today.
We needed to consult the highest person possible. So we did. Then today, Council of State called us. We were locked up in meeting from 10 o'clock. And the Council of State has assured us, having listened to our issue, they see that we are not asking for the moon. All what we are asking is that our 3 brothers should be reinstated and that we should work together to ensure that our rights as workers should not be abused by any employer, whether they are Chinese or they are Ghanaian or anywhere they come from. So after they gave us that assurance, they also requested that we should give them time to work with government to get our demand met. So the leadership that met Council of State, we met right there at the premises, and we went back to report to them that we are ready to give them that time. On the basis of that, we agree with them again that we are going to suspend the action which was scheduled for Monday, 10th of July, until further notice. But on the 17th of July, we are all coming back here for updates from Council of State and from the Presidency. They are doing government-to-government consultation, so we need to allow time.
All right, so let's go live on phone and speak to Secretary General of the Trades Union Congress, Dr. Yao Ban, on this development. Dr. Ban, grateful you could join me on Business Live. First, when did Cabinet or Council of State reach out to you, urging you to suspend the strike barely 3 days away?
We met with Council of State this morning. So the meeting was from 10 to about 4 but we have had discussions with the Minister of Employment and even the President himself in the last week and this week. So it has gone to a very high level, and once they have assured us that they are handling the matter, the only option left was to give them time to do that, and that is what we have done.
So you tabled the issues, for which reason you intend to demonstrate to them, right?
Yes. That's what is done. When you meet the Council of State, they allow you enough time to explain your issues. And this is not the first time you are meeting them. You may recall that when we were fighting for the extension of pension funds from DDEP, they came in strongly and supported us, and they helped us to get what we want. So we are very confident that after explaining why we had to declare a nationwide strike, they understood our point, but they disagreed with us in terms of dates and also the potential effects of strike and so on. And so they said they should work with us, they should work with the President, they should work with government, and work with Chinese government and all those stakeholders to ensure that the strike is abated.
So
we have agreed to suspend, pending whatever discussions and consultations are going on. And we are confident that, at that level, we expect nothing less than the solution. We have to get a solution, and I'm sure they can get it.
all right, so you did mention that come 17th, you will update, or next week you would update your members. What are you looking forward to?
Yeah, as I said, the Council of State and the Presidency are working on our issues. They know our demands. We have been very, very clear on that. So what we expect is that between now and then, which is the 17th of this month, we expect positive feedback from government and, of course, the Council of State. And on the basis of that, we will call our leaders together on the 17th to update them. But as I said, I'm very hopeful that by 17th, we should get some positive outcome of the consultation going on, government-to-government consultation going on.
Even before you declared your intention to strike, have you heard from management of Sonon Asogli, after you made that announcement?
No, after we declared a strike and scheduled it for 10th of July, we didn't Sonon Asogli until we were both called by the National Labour Commission. So it is when we met the National Labour Commission that they requested, management of Sonon Asogli requested that they wanted to meet us, on bilateral basis. And the Minister for Employment agreed to share the meeting between the two of us, the two parties. That's why we are the Minister of Employment. And then they offered to take our brothers back, to reinstate them. So from Wednesday to Thursday, I don't know what happened. Wednesday, we had that commitment from them. We went back to National Labour Committee and reported to the National Labour Committee. Now this is where we are. The management is saying that they are going to reinstate our three brothers, subject to them submitting some apology letter, which was something that we objected. But the next day we had agreed that yes, that is, we know you haven't done anything wrong. But if apology is the only condition that they need for you to be reinstated, let's go ahead and write the apology letter. we were faced that our apology letters could be sent somewhere. You know, if you say you haven't done anything, why are you writing an apology? So we got our lawyer to draft something. Then I gave it to the lawyer of Sunon and Frederick to have a look and do it the way they want and the way that is satisfied them. Only for them to come to tell us that they have changed their mind and that the commitment they gave a previous day, they are withdrawing it. I mean, where else do you hear this kind of thing? So, we are happy to have the Council of State changing. The President himself assured us that, you know, they will do whatever they can to help avoid the strike, and they did. Now we are expecting them to come to us with positive feedback. And
certainly.
that is what we are expecting, yeah.
All right, we shall keep our fingers crossed through that, and of course, hoping that indeed government takes an action on that. Pleasure you could join me, sir, for your time, of course, here on Business Live, speaking to us on the back of the reinstatement or the suspension of the intended strike. Dr. Yauba there. Let's move on to some other stories. And commercial banks could be sued over how they hand sale of government bonds and cocoa bills to their clients. Now, those are the views of Dean of the University of Professional Studies Law School, Professor Kofi Abuchi. This is coming at a time a lot of government bondholders have been made worse off due to the recent debt exchange program. Professor Abuchi noted that the banks cannot absolve themselves from this challenge.
Government may perhaps, and I'm just playing devil's advocate for government, government may perhaps have an argument in the fact that there's been a frustration of the contract as a result of unseen circumstances. The fact of the debt exchange, or rather not the debt exchange, the fact of the debt burden, which has resulted in this a conditionality that may have been imposed by external donor agencies, in respect of which government has little to zero influence, in the absence of which perhaps the entire country is going to come crumbling. You know, that could be an argument. I'm just saying, in theory, there could be an argument of unforeseen circumstances that have resulted in the frustration of the contract, and by reason of which government's action is or may be justified. But yes, it's imperative. I think ultimately these were done within a certain legal framework. Ultimately, it seems in the beginning there was, you know, there was some bullishness in the relationship, but it seems ultimately there was some mutuality, even though I think there's still some ongoing disagreement and frustrations about the process. But yes, if you go through the principles of contract, fundamentally, a person who is a party to a contract will respect that contract, and if the party wants a renegotiation of the contract, that renegotiation will have to be done mutually. And I think that largely explained the tensions that we saw characterized.
As a businessman, can I take on my commercial bank? Because that contract was between me and my commercial bank, not even government.
Absolutely.
About this challenge and what it's brought to me as an individual and as a business.
Absolutely. Commercial banks have been the luckiest. You know,
can I take on the commercial bank?
Well, I'm not advising to go to your bank, but all I'm telling you is that the commercial banks have been the luckiest in all these DD ongoing. The reason is because commercial banks are actually the ones who sold the bonds. And they come to your office and they literally advertise the bonds, and they will argue for it, and they will convince you. Commercial banks were not passive medium through which these bonds were bought. They were active sellers, quote unquote. And as active sellers, the kinds of promises and the kinds of things they made you believe in, which is why you assumed the risk involved in purchasing the bonds. These banks obviously are liable for certain representations they made in the process or in the course of selling these bonds. And that's why I'm saying they're luckiest, because frankly they're the ones with very little attention. Nobody seems to be talking about them. But yes, I mean, I'll leave it at that.
I mean, because some have said that, I mean, if I think I have a challenge as a person, as an individual, as a business, you know, locked up all these things, I could take on the bank.
Indeed.
Cocoa bills and all the rest, I mean, and what even Bank of Ghana has come to say that they were not supposed to have sold these bills to individuals.
Not only did they sell them, they sold them with conviction. And when you sell things with conviction, when you tell customers, buy this is highly beneficial, this has a high return, this yields very well, the likelihood of a risk or failure to pay is close to zero. You know, they sold all these things, and so there were agents with liability by reason of the sheer investment of interest that they had in you purchasing them. And so, in my estimation, yes, I think commercial banks may have some.
Meanwhile, he is calling for steps to be taken to review some of Ghana's tax policies. He says the current tax regime could force many businesses to adopt strategies to avoid paying taxes.
I think as a country, we need to really incentivize productivity. Because the thing about companies in countries where they have tax difficulties, the thing about companies is that they go into safe modes. And the safe modes, one of the easy safe modes is to reduce the extent to which companies spend. And if companies are going to minimize the extent to which they spend, they're going to undertake a number of rational choices that often impact negatively on, beneficiaries, quote unquote. And this could include employees. This could include the larger public in terms of whatever their product line is, among others. They will consolidate and avoid spending. And that also has a cataclysmic effect overall on the entire economy. So the entire dynamic can be complicated. And that's why I think that it may be helpful if sometimes, if we look again at the overall arrangement of, the tax avoidance, tax evasion thing you mentioned, but the overall arrangement about that.
All right, so let's expatiate on this point further. And joining me via Zoom is Senior Finance Lecturer at the University of Ghana, Dr. Benjaminamoa. Grateful, sir, you could join me on Business Live. Now, I'm pretty sure you've listened to Professor Abuchi. What do you make of his proposal, basically, to government?
I'm not a lawyer, so I will not speak much to the legal issues. But then they are interesting proposals, and it is good we are having views of that nature so we can have a broader discussion on what has happened as far as the DDE is concerned, and then also the role that the banks play as far as this particular bonds are concerned. But you see, the banks were primary dealers. And as primary dealers, their responsibility was more to distribute as much as they could these bonds to investors who were willing and had the capacity to contract. The bond indenture will have specified who has this, that, or so responsibility as far as the bond is concerned. Now, as to whether the banks oversold or undersold because they may have any interest in terms of maybe commission behind the scenes, and that will have caused the bank to even ill-advise their client, is an issue that maybe the customers will have to prove that they didn't have the intention of buying the bonds, but then they were convinced that the bonds were a good instrument. And that goes into an area of advisory, annual advisory. So we need to understand the role of the banks as far as these bond instruments were concerned, and whether these banks went beyond what their role is. And in that case, they may have some questions to answer. But if theirs was just to serve as a distribution channel, and the issuer in this case, the Treasury, the Ministry of Finance, had the sole responsibility, then I don't know how such a case can be brought against a bank that was acting as an agent and was tasked to sell or distribute their bond. So it is just the case that we have to maybe look at it again from his point of view and see how best we can position the whole customer concern here. But the issue is, what is the right of the customer? And do the customers or the client know their right? And more so, whose responsibility is it to educate the customer when it comes to some of these instruments? Is it the bank? Is it the issuer? Or is it the regulator? These are, or is it the case that the customer himself must educate himself to understand the product that he or she want to buy? These are some of the conversations that we can have. Then having had that conversation, we can then position what the banks did and what they did not do right. But it will be difficult for me to say that a bank should be held responsible. They appear to me to be more of primary dealers whose responsibility was more to sell the bond. It was the responsibility of the bond, the buyers of this bond, to know their rights and responsibility per the bond indenture, and who should hold responsible should there be any form of default or any form of non-performance as far as the bond instrument is concerned.
But if at the end of the day, we get to find out that indeed some of the banks may have played a role in that, well, I guess Professor Abuchi's argument stands, right?
Again, it will be difficult for me to speak on his argument because I don't want to take him on his word. Yeah, I would rather look at it from the point where we need to understand who and who has this responsibility or that responsibility, and did that particular party go by that responsibility. If it is the case that all parties did what they had to do, then we can say that we find this particular party faulted. If you look at the case of the cocoa bonds, like the case of the cocoa bond, Bank of Ghana said the banks were not to sell to individuals. And the banks, for whatever reason, decided to sell to individuals. That is a clear statement from the regulator. So for such a case, once there's clarity on it, then a case can be made by the party that feels that that party has been wrongly forced into a contract. But apart from that, like I said, if the bond indenture is clear as to what the banks can do or what the banks will do, who has the liability in the case of non-performance, then we can bring that a case. So we need to go back to the bond indenture and we'll know what actually the issue is.
Ultimately, do you think that the Bank of Ghana may have to do more to try and check some of these developments in the banking sector? Rightly so.
Absolutely, because we need to know the responsibility of the customer, the duties of the customer, the privileges of the customer. The question is, how many of us, consumers of financial services, are aware of our rights and responsibilities? Many of us do not know, and so long as we don't know, chances are very high that the banks may take advantage of us. So,
rather unfortunately, Dr. Benjaminamoa's line has frozen. He is a senior finance lecturer at the University of Ghana. You're still watching Business Live. We're taking a short break. Hello again. It's day one of the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair First Mini Clinic, and exhibitors are highly expectant. Prospective customers and clients will come and patronize their products within the next 3 days. They tell Joy Business most of their products have the best discounts ever on the market, hence a perfect opportunity for homeowners and potential ones alike take advantage of this fair. Earlier, I was at the Achimota Retail Center where the mini clinic is underway, and here are what some of them told me.
Exhibitors have showcased their products. First off, let me quickly jump to Green Opal Properties to tell us what they have for us. Pleasure you could join me, sir, on the marketplace. Tell me, what is Green Opal all about and what are you looking forward to?
Oh, okay, Green Opal is all about building homes, beautiful homes, elegant home, luxurious home for the general public and the people in the diaspora. Currently, we are doing 3, 4, and 5 bedroom houses. And our main area of development is with the Adenta Aviation Enclaves. Yes.
So what are you looking forward to at the end of the first day?
Okay, at the end of the fair, we are looking for that one will be open to the public. The public will get to know us more, and then at the end of the day, we'll be able to close deals as well.
So, we are GHS Housing Limited. We are located at Kuntinse Satellite Junction off the Amasaman Road. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 bedroom houses. We have expandable ones and non-expandable ones. We also have introduced our service plot currently that we are selling. We sell them in we have 56 by 64, we have 77 by 74, and then we have 70 by 100. All at Kuntunse. That is where the properties are.
Elegant Homes is a construction company, and we have a real estate company. We sell 3, 4, 5 bedroom houses in a gated community located at Katamanso off the Adenta Dodowa Road. We have an affiliated company called Elegant Homes Products, which manufactures and fabricates windows and doors from UPVC. They are all UPVC windows. We also sell gypsum adhesives, corner moldings, plasterboards, and many more. Yes.
Interplast is a pipe manufacturing company. That is what everyone knows us for. But aside that, Interplast has these beautiful windows and doors that we also do. So we have them in white, we have beige, and we have gray. So Interplast manufactures this in Ghana here. All the profiles are done by us. We take the measurements, we do the installation. This is a simple sliding system that comes with a mosquito net. We have this gray we call the tilt and turn. You can open fully for more air, and you can tilt it just to control, especially in the rainy season when you still need water to come into. You don't want water to come into your house, but you need fresh air. So we have this double system as well. So all these are manufactured by Interplast. When you talk about Interplast, quality is what we are very particular about. So with our windows and doors also, we have all the expertise in the house. We recommend, we advise, and then we do the installation ourselves. So it's from start to finish. So that is what we have available here for visitors.
It's not too late. You can go to the Achimota retail market and, of course, get yourself some discounts. And that's it for the program. I am Pius Kojobaka. You can always get business stories when you log on to myjoyonline.com/business. Top stories there. Current tax regime could push businesses to lessen tax obligations to state. That's according to Professor Abuchi. You can grab something from that portal. And that's it for the program. See you next week. Bye.